about the market statistics, which is just really boring stuff. They did a really good job just making it very simple and encouraging, funny, because, listening to Jamie is always entertaining. And so then I reached out to him just through instant messenger, whatever I did, just said, hey, it's great hearing your voice. It reminds me of a lot of, mornings listening to you talk about real estate. He jokes, says, yeah, half the time your eyes were open, half the time they're closed, ha ha. But it's like, I don't think I'm going to get Jamie's business because he's best friends with Salem North Hollywood. But Jamie is someone that I'd want to keep in touch with because he's a friend, but also he knows a lot of people. And if they say, hey, do you know a good escrow company, maybe in wherever, he might throw something my way. So it doesn't even a phone call. That was just a touch. But I do want to keep that relationship alive, opposed to like, they've gone, they work with someone else, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, cool. And Rubina, stay on after we're done here because there's an escrow officer over at Allen Erdy that Yolanda, that Ted and I want to talk to you about, okay?
Yeah, Yolanda, hi, guys. Yeah, I know her very well, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll talk after we're done. So now let's go into our presentation.
Woo! All right, so we have a video to share with you. We practiced it yesterday and the quality was good, but in case the quality is bad, just close your eyes and listen to him because he's got some great points.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
And take some notes so we can talk about it after the video is done. The video is about 10 minutes?
Yeah, 12 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect, thanks.
All right. All right, here we go.
If you try to market your service-based business just like any other business, you're going to be disappointed. Because service-based businesses have a very unique and really different approach that's required for success if you want to generate more leads, clients, and sales. That's why in this episode, I'm going to be sharing 5 things you absolutely need to know to have success marketing your service-based business. Let's get to it. Hey there, my name is Adam Earhart, marketing strategist, and welcome to The Marketing Show, where we help you grow your business and generate more leads, customers, and sales by making way better marketing. So if you're interested in learning the latest and greatest marketing strategies, tools, tips, tricks, and tactics, well, you may want to consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you never miss a future episode. Marketing a service-based business is one of my favorite things to do because it provides all sorts of different unique approaches and different challenges that marketing product-based businesses simply don't have. Specifically, the fact that you're selling something intangible, something that they can't see or feel or touch or taste or whatever it is. So we really have to get creative with our marketing in order to paint a clear and compelling picture of why people should do business with you. Plus, there's also a ton of tripwires or minefields or potholes or whatever other analogy we can think of here. Basically, all of these different areas of disaster that so many different service businesses fall into when it comes to their marketing. Specifically, the fact that it is an intangible thing, well, they often grasp and sort of grapple for the right term, and they end up using generic and bland and boring statements like we provide better service, or we have higher quality, or we do things faster, which are not only not differentiated at all, but they also make you sound exactly the same as every single one of your competitors. So let's fix that now, as well as all the other issues, and I'm going to give you 5 of my absolute best service-based marketing strategies so you can apply them in your business and get way better results and with way less headache. Alright, it all starts with tip number 1, which is to sell the end. This is probably the single most important tip of this entire video. Actually, maybe the second most important tip. I saved the best one for last, so make sure to stick with me. You see, when it comes to service-based marketing, it's literally all about the end result that you provide. That is essentially the entire thing that you should be trying to sell and communicate through all of your marketing and advertising material. Basically, your business's marketing should talk about the benefits of what your service provides, the end state that it's going to help your clients or your customers get to, and basically all of the ways that their life is going to be better after having done business with you, and basically all the ways that their life would be terrible if they don't do business with you. You see, one of the most important things you can do here is really clearly define the 2 different states that your clients are in right now. Basically, the state that they're in, their present and active state, which is pain and problems and all the stuff they're trying to get away from, and the state that they aspire to get to, which is their dreams and their wants and all that. I'll cover that in just a second. But essentially, they want to get away from pain, they want to get to pleasure, and your business serves as the bridge that helps them cross that gap. Alright, so more on the pain and pleasure stuff. Basically, I call this miracles and miseries. Basically, their miracles are all of their wants and their dreams and their goals and their aspirations. Basically, all the good stuff that their life could be like after they do business with you. And then their miseries are all their pains and their frustrations and their fears and their nightmares and all of the awful, chaotic, miserable stuff that has to do with their everyday lives. I know, it sounds pretty negative, but basically when it comes to marketing, what we're trying to do here is, rather than just beat them down about all the bad stuff going on, we do want to offer them a solution. And the solution is your business, which, if you're any good at what you do, and I presume you are, well then you owe it to them to offer them the solution and help them get away from the pain and into the pleasure. Alright, the next thing that you really want to do as a service-based business is to definitely use stories.
Okay, do you guys want to talk about each point as they happen or talk about all 5 points at the end?
I think it's good if we talk about them as they happen, because then they won't float away.
I agree, and I apologize. I watched it twice. We ran through it yesterday, and this is finally hitting me now that this would be a better way to do it. I think this is a huge thing, is asking for people's miracles about what they want and removing people's fear. And the easiest way to do this is to go to your top 3 clients and you ask them, okay, when you don't get me as your escrow officer and you have to use somebody at ABC Escrow, what are the biggest fears you have that they are not going to perform for you like I do? And what are the things that I do that the reasons why you use me? And then by asking those questions, you can actually then prepare something to when you get a buyer on the other side that you've actually got a sheet that you're sending to them right as the escrow opens, addressing all their fears and addressing how you do your work. So right off the get-go, somebody should say, holy crud, these people are pretty amazing. And you're impressing them right as you open up the escrow by stating all that stuff. And I don't think anybody does that. What do you guys think of that idea?
I think it's excellent.
Good. So it's a matter of, it should be super easy to do. You've got your target audience because you've all got loyal clients that love you. And so it should be easy to be able to come up with that list and actually have that. Anybody else have any other thoughts about the end state, as he puts it? Nope. Okay, let's go on to point number 2.
Awesome. Let me share again. I'm going to back it up just a hair.
Yep.
All right.
Owe it to them to offer them the solution and help them get away from the pain and into the pleasure. Alright, the next thing that you really want to do as a service-based business is to definitely use stories in all of your marketing. Again, because you don't have a tangible thing that they can see and hold and feel and touch and smell and all that stuff, well, you really have to use stories, which helps to build these models and build these images in their minds. Again, as I already said, it's not enough to just say stuff like we're better or we're faster or we have better service or higher quality or whatever, because these are just claims and they're basically based on nothing. So we need to back it up. A great way to do that is with stories. If you've never used stories in your business before, let me give you a couple examples here. But essentially what you want to do is sort of comb through a carefully selected and curated list of your business's success and case studies and how you've helped customers or clients in the past. And you're going to draw from this and use it as inspiration when you're creating marketing content. For starters, don't be afraid to share your personal philosophy, what you think about business or the industry or the market or basically what you do. For example, my personal philosophy is that strategy should always form the foundation of every single marketing campaign. And I'm really quick to point out that I disagree with a lot of the tactics and sort of flashy and shiny object stuff that's going on in the industry that's taking a lot of businesses way off the right path and making them basically lose a lot of time and money and energy. Next, make sure to comb through your database for client results, testimonials, and any case studies, which are perfect examples to show how your business has helped people get results before. These are really powerful because when someone sees someone that looks like them or is in the same position as them and they get results, it removes a lot of the potential objections that they may have, including the big one, this might not work for me. Also, while these next two are not necessarily part of a story, you can intertwine story elements into them, but creating how-to or what not to do content is also a fantastic way to show your expertise and also provide some value at the same time. And of course, when you are telling your origin story or your personal story or what your business does and how it got started, this part is important, but remember, it's not about you, it's about them, the client and the customer that you're trying to serve. This part might sting a bit, but your customers actually don't really care about you. They only really care about them and how they can use you in order to get the results. I know that sounds horribly cynical, but the reality is that they really are acting in their best interest, as they should. That's why we have a free market. So rather than fight this and think it's not fair and all that, well, it's better to just accept it and design your marketing accordingly by making sure that it's structured so that your marketing really is all about them and less about you. All right, the next step is that you...
Okay, and I really want to jump out to, and this is to go out to my salespeople who like to talk about themselves. These stories are all about getting the clientele to share with you about them. You guys don't need to tell your origin stories and how you got into it. You want to trigger them so they tell you, because as he said, and as Jeffrey Gitomer says, they don't really care. They just want to talk about themselves. And so we got to really keep that in mind, that we can put people off when we talk too much, especially about ourselves. But as far as the sharing philosophies and getting the client results and testimonials, you know, I think that's a great way to go in with that. But I don't know, and maybe we can create a quick dialogue here about how do you even get to that stage where you get the ability to share that stuff? And if we can't do it verbally, should that be in some kind of email when we're introducing ourselves as a link maybe to our Yelp page that has in Glendale over 100 5-star reviews at this point? Or what do you guys think? Any thoughts?
Can we tell them to, can we give them some names as a reference, people that they might know, and use that as a reference? If you need to check us out, please, you know, I have this and that and so client. If you need to, you know, talk to them, please do. Can we do that?
Absolutely. What I did in the early 90s is I reached out. I had one Dilbeck realtor, because my last name is Dilbeck. I had two people that weren't from Dilbeck. One was Kelly Brock from Podley Cahiendone, who was super well respected, and the other was Susan Sakai with McGregor Realty. And I asked them, can I use you as a testimonial, that when I get a new escrow, that I can put your quotes about my service at the bottom of the sheet, and when the deal opens up, I can send this out to you? And they've all said yes. Kelly was very hesitant, but she went ahead and said yes. And that's exactly what I did when I was getting started in Pasadena, because those are people that were well respected. So yes, but just, you have to ask first.
Definitely.
But I think it's a good idea. So, and that covers my other note that I already made here.
I'm at this crossroads actually right now with big refi account, and I'm trying to figure out how I really get one shot at it. And I reached out to some of our escrow officers and I said, what are 3 things that stand out why they should use you? Regan responded. I'm kind of sorting through the responses, because it really, you know, thousands of escrows closed, all these things. It's like, it sounds like like the guy in the video said, it sounds like everyone else. So I'm really searching for those things that are going to click for the guy. What's the problem? What's the roadblock now that there's going to be so many refis out there? There's going to be some kind of trigger. Maybe Adrian's a great guy to know. What is the biggest roadblock right now to getting something closed or getting a smooth transaction? So I guess there's a key question. You know, there's some little nugget I'm looking for that's going to be worth, you know, presenting it to them.
and maybe that's, talking to both Adrian and Maggie, asking them, can they ask that question to their top refi people, and so they can share the answer with you. And if they don't want to bother it, is it all right for you as a salesperson for the company saying, hey, I know you love Adrian, and then ask him that question and just, see if he can get his permission to do so. I don't know that he would say yes, but it's at least.
That's cool. Yeah. And then from there, he's talking about using Storios. I was thinking either coming up with a video or maybe an animated video, something very catchy that the guy will actually like, oh, okay, I get it. Because no one's going to, like you said in an email, but a busy person doesn't read email, especially a sales email. And I'm not trying to pull them away from a happy relationship. I just want them to realize that their relationship could be a lot better over here. And that's the information I want to convey. But you really get one shot at someone's attention. So,
I love the idea of doing an animated video or a video, but because I watch a lot of them preparing for this and other things that we do, I think when you don't have a name and you don't have people's attention, that video at most can be 4 minutes long, and it maybe needs to be shorter. And then once you get a little bit of, you're really good, you're entertaining, then maybe it can go up to 10 minutes, but that's really it. But you need to first, in the beginning, they need to be 3 or 4 minutes, and that's it.
Right. I was thinking 30 seconds, just straight content, bam. And if it's animated, it can be almost funny, but it shows the benefits right there, or something to trigger a conversation.
Oh, that's even better. I mean, the shorter the better.
No one has time to sit there and watch YouTube all day. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Any other thoughts on stories?
I have a quick comment about that,
Please.
if you don't mind.
Go.
We had a transaction recently that was very impressive, and what impressed me about it was that our loan broker sent by email video status reports. So it was terrific to look at. It showed the human being behind the email and the words and that sort of thing. It was just really a great touch. So Brandy and I are considering putting something like that together that we'll use here in the office. And that could be something you add to what it is that you do regularly.
What did that look like, Todd?
Well, it looks like what we're looking at here. Yeah, it's probably less than a minute long. It's like something you would do on your iPhone or smartphone, and then you would email it to yourself and then send it out that way. In this instance, it was a link that he had developed somehow, or I'm not sure how that works, but nevertheless, that's what it was. And it was really nice. You saw that there he was in his car, and is still keeping people posted on details about the transaction and how it was moving along. So I liked it very much, as did Brandy.
And was it personalized to the transaction? So it wasn't like a generic?
Definitely. Yeah, it was specific to the transaction. But in developing these things, what I do that perhaps others do not is this, and it could be something that you're sending not just to the realtors, but also to your buyer or your seller, just to let them know and put a face behind who it is that they're working with and trusting their business with and their assets with. I think it's a great tool.
I think it's such a great idea, especially when if you've got this older couple that are sellers and they've already seen your face, Todd, twice because of updates. When they come in to sign that deed, they're going to feel so comfortable that they already know you. And so that's
absolutely
really good idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Thanks
good.
for sharing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Anything else on that topic? Let's move to number 3 then.
Right.
Nurture them.
Here we go.
Need to nurture them. Now, what this means is that essentially, if you're selling a service to your market, well, you're going to need to provide some kind of value or some kind of story like we just talked about, or some kind of content or authority stuff to put in front of them and show that you know what you're talking about and you're the right one for the job. If you're selling a really low price service, well then less of this is going to apply. But if you're selling something in the thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, you're going to need a whole lot of nurturing to make sure that you're really clearly communicating that you are the best one for the job. One of the biggest and most fatal mistakes I see, especially with service-based businesses who are brand new to advertising, is that they try to go out there and they create an ad that goes direct to sale. Basically, they put an ad in front of people that says buy now, and they're selling something for thousands and thousands of dollars. Probably no surprise, but the ad doesn't work, and then the business swears off whatever advertising platform they're using, whether Facebook or Instagram or Google or whatever. When in reality, the analogy is pretty much like, this is like proposing marriage on the first date. Basically, the person has no idea who you are or what you do or why they should care, and now you're asking them for a $1,000 purchase. There's a far, far better way to do this, which I'm going to cover in just my next point. But first, it's important to understand that all of your marketing should always be trying to increase touch points. This is basically interactions or moments of truth where you're appearing directly in front of your target market, whether through your content or your advertising or any of your marketing. Depending on what statistic you read or what source you're referencing, the average is around 7 to 12 touch points with a customer before they make that purchase decision. Basically, this means you've got to show up in front of your customers with value between 7 to 12 times before they're going to be willing to buy from you. If you're selling a pack of gum or something for a couple bucks, well, the touch points are probably just one. And the offer could be as simple as, would you like some gum? Yes, I would. But if you're selling a multi-$1,000 consulting package or something like that, you can't just say, would you like a multi-$1,000 consulting package? No, I would not. And of course they wouldn't. They have no idea what you do or why you're special or why you're different or what kind of value you can provide. And this is why you need that nurture sequence. And the way that you build out a nurture sequence is to unleash the funnel. Basically, a marketing funnel.
Now I think this is really interesting and dovetails right into line with what Todd just said. I mean, it would be interesting if you were going after another top client. The problem is everybody's afraid to launch any kind of videos. So you'd almost have to give them a call and say, hey, I'd like your permission to send you a 30-second video of how I handle when I open up my escrows and how I talk to your seller. And if you're willing to take this on, so you can see that I do this for every escrow, yada, 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 and do what you say. And it's a touch point where you're asking for 30 seconds and getting their permission. Would you open that up? Again, I don't know if that's too big of an ask right off the get-go. Maybe you guys have got a better idea to do that, or what, but this touch point thing, if you can slowly just keep on sending stuff about how you're so different, then I think you finally would get somebody to say, okay, I'll give you a try. You really are different. Any thoughts?
I know one thing a lot of you guys are doing is you're actually sending out those flyers that I sent you. You're sending them out via email. I know that Lori does this. I know that other escrow officers do this as well. But you're sending out those flyers to your clients in emails, and that's a touch point. That's something where it doesn't have to be necessarily face-to-face, but it still has your face on it. It still has your information on it. And you're still contacting them and reaching out. So that, I would consider that a huge touch point.
And what do you guys think about even letting them know that you're going after them with touch points? And then you say, I know it's going to take 7 to 12 times before you're going to trust me to use me, and you show them that I'm going to send 7 of these, and if that doesn't work, then it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 until you wear them down. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Kirk, I know if you can hear me.
I can.
Yeah. There's been very many instances when where they want you to keep in touch, and they tell you that.
Can you turn your volume up a little bit, Jackie?
It is up. It's all the way up.
There you go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
A little better.
Okay, so a lot of times they ask you to keep in touch. So that's one way to keep in touch, in addition to making the calls. So that is okay. 7 to 12 tries is what it takes. Then the secret is to keep trying and be consistent. And that's what I'm doing right now. But if they're willing to, if they're offering, they're saying this, not us, to keep in touch, what better way to go? That's an open door for us. And so that's what I'm doing, be it flyer, be it checking in, be it just wanting to check in and, I see you have a listing, anything I can help with, I'm here to help you. And so, they respond back, thank you. I'll consider you. The next one, this one is already spoken for. So I'm getting those emails back, which means they're looking at it. And so just keeping up is, I think, what it is. And making the 3 calls per day is, I think, the best way to go. And yeah, that's been working. So I have 3 I'm working on right now. And so I'm going to be getting there, hopefully, next listing that sells just by doing that. And so that has worked.
Okay, this dovetails into what I'd like the homework to be for the month, so I can go ahead and bring it up because it's right along what Jackie is saying, is I would like you each to go for 3 clients that you're going for, and then actually make a little touch point journal. And so you can go ahead and mark, okay, sometime 7 to 12 times, I want you to touch that person between now and next month, and to see if you can, put a crack in their armor to actually get them. And again, it's going to seem like you're bothering them less if one's a phone call and another one's an email, and then another one is sending them what Tracy sends to you weekly, or 4 of those are, and do it that way. Because obviously we don't want to pester people, but we do want to give them things of value. And what Tracy is producing is a thing of value. And, heck, if you could do that video thing towards the end, to potentially try and cinch it up as we work on that, that would be great. So any questions on the homework? Okay. Any other topics on the nurturing? Let's move on to number 4.
Here we go.
Unleash the funnel.
Gotta rewind it just a tad. Okay.
What you do, or why you're special, or why you're different, or what kind of value you can provide. And this is why you need that nurture sequence. And the way that you build out a nurture sequence is to unleash the funnel. Basically, a marketing funnel is simply a process to walk them through the customer journey from being cold traffic who has no idea who you are, what you do, or why they should care, and basically walks them through to becoming warm, where they know you, they're starting to understand a little more, and all the way to hot, where they actually buy from you and become a paying client or customer. Now, the funnel I use inside of the business and with my clients and students is called the social selling system. It's a very simple framework that essentially takes them from an ad to a opt-in page where they can enter their name and email in exchange for some kind of content, then to a thank you page where we deliver the next step or essentially make our next offer, and then some kind of nurturing sequence on the back end, whether through email or retargeting ads. It's an incredibly effective system, and each step takes them closer to doing business with you through a series of micro commitments and ever increasing value, and basically increasing more and more touch points. The beauty of this system and making sure that you do have a funnel in place is that once it's dialed in, you can automate the entire process, which means it's like having thousands or millions or tens of millions of tiny little salespeople out there all the time doing business for you 24/7, 365, generating leads, converting them into clients, and nurturing them the whole process. All right, the next tip and thing you really need to be aware of.
Okay, unleashing the funnel is kind of everything we've talked about thus far already. So I don't have any really additional thoughts on how to take people from cold to warm to hot, other than what we've already talked about, and in the social selling. So does anybody else have any thoughts on this?
That really applies to like the other side of the escrow. If someone is using Inter Valley Escrow because they're representing the buyer and they didn't have a lot of choice in the escrow, the funnel could be the process in keeping them, giving them all that love that the listing agent's going to get that's already our client. So if they were the funneled, if they have that experience, instead of just we're busy, we can't mess with the selling agent, they work for Coldwell Banker, they'll never use us, blah blah blah. If we had some system in place that was automated, as you said, that automatically fed, basically set it at a glance boutique style. So at every phase, they're included in the transaction. That would be a great selling point on the selling side.
I've got 2 comments to that. Number 1 is, and before I forget, once you get into an escrow with somebody that got written in on the other side, what do you guys think of specifically taking the stuff that Tracy comes up with weekly and you just send it to them, the escrow officer, through that email directly to that individual, while they're in that escrow, just so you're giving them an additional touch point there and giving them something they can potentially share with their clientele is number one. And number two, we had an escrow officer that was with us that was very successful. And what I heard her do time and again is when she opened an escrow, she would joke around with them and say, well, I'm going to be your escrow officer from here forward, and I'm going to prove that to you with this deal. And then every time she spoke with them, she would reiterate that the whole time through, and she was successful with converting those buyers because she just had that assumptive close, and her process was set up to impress them, and she did, and she was able to, you know, to keep a lot of that business. So if you can actually make that part of your dialogue all the way through the escrow, I think that would be helpful as well. Any thoughts on either one of those 2 points?
Great idea.
Yeah, terrific. Okay, let's go on to number 5, avoid wasteland.
Here we go. And go.
And probably one of the most important things that I could share with you is that you need to make sure that you avoid the marketing wasteland. The marketing wasteland is scattered with dead companies and failed marketing strategies, and essentially this is why I'm pretty anti-tactics and shiny objects and really key on foundational strategy, because far too many businesses kind of bought into the notion or the idea that you need to do everything and be absolutely everywhere, which is probably the worst marketing advice ever. First of all, trying to do everything and trying to be everywhere is probably one of the fastest ways to burn out and overwhelm that I've ever heard of. I know this because I tried this many years ago, and that's exactly where it led me. Second of all, not only are you going to be burned out and exhausted and overwhelmed, it's also a completely garbage strategy because your clients and your customers and your ideal target market that you're trying to reach, they're not everywhere. They're not doing everything. Rather, they're in a few carefully selected channels and platforms. So why wouldn't you just go there? So how do you go there? Well, the very first step is to build out an ideal customer avatar, which is a representation of your most perfect client or customer that you're trying to attract to your business. You want to figure out who they are, where they go, and what they do. And when you sort of figure all these things out, all you then have to do is head over to Google and type in a quick search like social media network demographics, and you'll be able to align very quickly where your market is and what platforms are favored by that type of person. Then go there and ignore everything else. As a real rough and general example, let's say you're trying to reach men between the ages of 35 and 55. Well then, Google and the demographic details are going to basically tell us that Facebook and YouTube are probably your best bet. If you're trying to reach women between the ages of 18 and 35, then you're going to want to double down on Instagram and possibly Pinterest, depending on your business. If you're trying to reach corporate professionals in the B2B or business-to-business space, well then it pretty much doesn't matter what age they are, LinkedIn should be at the forefront of your strategy, with maybe a supplementary or accessory channel backing it up. Probably Facebook. The important thing to avoid the wasteland is to not be everywhere, not do everything. Rather, it's to clearly identify your ideal target market, who you're trying to serve, find out where they're active and present online, and go there, ignoring everything else. All right, the next thing you're going to want to do is check out the video.
Right. So it's interesting. Try to profile your perfect client. I think we already kind of have been through that. Tracy's already gone through all the different social media stuff. You know, I think it makes perfect sense of try not to, you know, don't be everywhere you target. I think that's something we're already doing. So I think his best point is already something we've covered, unless anybody has any additional talking points on that. You? Okay. Number one, I need to know, what did you think of Adam, the presenter? Do you think we want more from him? Because
I like his ideas.
all right. Any other thoughts? Should we try and mine him for more info?
Yes.
I would say as fast as he talks, watching this 2 or 3 times probably helps, or reducing the speed so you can capture what he's saying. I picked up things on the 3 times I've now watched it.
Okay.
Yeah, he may be going a little too fast. I also enjoyed Jason, the last video that we saw at the Pasadena meeting room. Was it Jason or Justin video? That was very, very eye-opener. right there.
Okay. We'll have Tracy look for more of that. I think I heard from Todd, maybe.
Yeah, I thought he was very basic. You know, he speaks to the normal human being, and I think those sorts of things are where we need to be right now, because the world is a little bit different, and communicating with them should follow along with that. I mean, people are cooking and gardening and all these normal down-home types of things, and, you know, being honest and real works.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the fact.
Go ahead, Ken.
I like the fact that he says don't be everywhere, because in our business we're lucky enough to market to people that have a specific need, and we're also lucky enough to have the people we're marketing to are nice people. They're marketing people themselves. So I mean, we could be in an industry where we're just trying to deal with bean counters and they have zero personality. But luckily we can reach out to people that are interesting, fun, open, receptive. And I like the fact that he says don't try to be everywhere, because if right now we had, you know, Facebook ads and we had flyers and we're doing all kinds of things, you get distracted and you basically end up doing nothing because you just spread too thin. So I like the fact that we're targeting what we want to do, we're focusing on our people, and it's really about, like you said, it's touching people a number of times, and that's just basic sales.
Good. Okay.
Excuse me. Forgive me, but I wasn't too impressed with this one. All the other ones that we've seen are more detailed. This was very, very general and vague for me. Like when he talked about the story selling, he just went over it. I don't know. He didn't impress me. Not that he's not good at what he's doing, I'm sure, but it didn't speak to me. It didn't resonate with me. I don't know why.
To a huge degree, what Tracy and I, as we look for this stuff, and Ted approves, as we're going through this stuff, is we're looking for things for us to talk about as a group, so we can pull things out of it and define it to what we do in escrow, which is very, very different than 99.9% of what everybody else is doing.
Right.
You know, so being able
Right.
to, you know, so this guy, I felt that at least he brought some ideas to the table with the 5 points that we could specifically do to differentiate ourselves, so we could be better. So I think, you know, between everybody talking, we came up with some good ideas that really, I think, could be game changers for us as far as picking up additional business. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. It doesn't have to be a perfect presenter, but it does need somebody that's going to stimulate Ken saying something, and then Todd saying something, and then, you know,
Right.
Ted and Jackie, jumping in. So
I mean, to Rabina's point about a story, basically the whole point of this sales is the story, right? Because we're not selling gum, we're selling a service, and we're selling a very important service. And to make someone to make that decision why they're willing to trust us with that very important service, it has to be told through a story, because it has to connect with them in their lifestyle, why in their business, why it's important to them. And the only way you can reach them is with a story. Because if you just say we're a good escrow company and we get your escrow instructions out in 24 hours and we promise the best prices, all that stuff doesn't have value to them at all. It's only in the story can you get to communicate the true value of Inter Valley Escrow. That's the way I think about it.
Right. And you know, as Gittimer says, you know, you can't say, oh, it's the people. Well, the fact of the matter is, it is the people. But what we have to do is not talk about the generic people. We have to talk about what makes each of you so special. So we're not talking about the people. We're talking about, you know, Jackie. We're talking about Lori. We're talking about Regan. And so that's what we're trying to do. All right. So then, thank you for that. Next month we're gonna go old school, and I found something that actually was good from Anthony Robbins, which is another 10-minute thing that I think will be beneficial for all of us. In that it seems old, but I don't know if people are really doing it. So we'll share that with you next month. And if you have any ideas, again, of what you want us to do next time, let us know in the future. And let's go on and set our goals for for what we got going on for June. All right. And again, this goal setting, I think it actually works pretty well that we're doing it with a third of the month done, because it gives you an inkling of what's happening in the month. So you kind of got your feet going, and then plus you got plenty of time to run and make it happen too. So just going around the room, let's go. I got Jackie, you're first on my screen. What's your goals for June?
It's going to be 5, as always.
5 as always. Okay.
Yes, I'm going to
All
go for 5 and as many refis as possible.
Okay. Sounds good. Ken.
I'm going to talk, if you can see me, I'm going to talk into my favorite little microphone here. I'm going to go for 20 sales and hopefully get one refi, someone to try us for refi.
Okay. Sounds good. Lori.
I'll say 5.
She's going to say 5. All right. Robina.
Oh, can I say the same?
Can you say the same as last month, or can you say 5?
Yeah. No, the same as last month.
Okay, the same that you got, or the same you were going for?
The same that I got.
All right. Sounds good. Regan, what are you looking for?
8 and 10.
8 and 10. Sounds good. All righty. Todd.
I'm going to go like Rubina did. I'm going to go with what I got last month, hoping to double that yet again.
Outstanding. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Okay, terrific. Tracy, did we have anything else on our agenda?
I don't believe so. Let me just double check real quick. Nope.
Okay, terrific. There, so please do keep your homework in mind. Tracy will send you a reminder today of the touch point homework. And so if you can today, reply back to Tracy's email, just to Tracy and I, with who your 3 clients are going to be and what you're going to go for. I'm assuming that's Regan typing. If you can mute your screen, please.
Did. I muted him.
Okay, thank you. So you touch point homework. And then also, is the video something, Todd, that you and Brandy are going to work on, or are you going to bring Tracy in on that?
We're going to work on sort of an introduction script. That's what Brandy was thinking. Okay. Or, I'm more of a go with the flow guy, tailored around that transaction or something. Like, could be even someone that I'm reaching out to that I have worked with before. But I think as far as the buyer and or seller piece, that it should be something that's a bit scripted so that you can just lead them along on what the expectations are and that sort of thing.
And I would, and it all depends on the individual. Some people are going to need a full script. Sure. Some people can just go off the get-go. But I think Todd,
absolutely.
Yeah, somebody like you could probably just go, okay, I need to hit these three talking points, and just go with the flow, and you'll be more charming, and it'll go better that way. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think more organic is best. I mean, this is a people business. That's who we're working for and with. So.
Okay. Do you want Tracy to, if she hasn't heard from you, be bugging you to make sure this is moving forward next Monday?
That'd be fine. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Terrific. Because I really like that idea, and I'd like to have, get something formal online. We can test it and lock it out as we test everything, and then go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And I sent both you and Tracy that email that I'd gotten from the broker, just so you can get a feel for what it is.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, no, great
and
idea.
feel free to share it. It's nothing confidential, so or what have you, or let me know what you think of it and what should change, etc.
Okay, no, it sounds good.
Great.
Anything else before we sign off? Tracy, Ted?
Just go get them. It's we're getting busier. It's going to be happening as long as they list them. We'll be taking them. So be ready.
Right.
Yep. And Tracy, we did tape this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, terrific. So we'll be sharing this with Maggie at a later time, who normally is here. But I don't know if you saw those numbers, but Maggie's, she's got a whole lot. She took 72 refis last month and 4 sales. And then this month, he's already taken a whole boatload too. So it,
Mega.
he's busy. All righty. Unless anybody has anything else, we'll sign off.
Great.
Thanks, guys. Hang